All right, welcome to Unofficial Leafs Talk. Leafs lose 3-2 to Detroit in overtime, in which was a pretty hard-fought game. I think the Leafs were the better team for the majority of this game. Unfortunately, they don't get the win in the end, but they do get 1 point, so at least it's something to hang your hat on because they need every single point they can get right now. So it sucks to not get two, but at least you can get one. It's something. It's helping you get up there in the standings a little bit. So it's not a complete loss, I must say. Yeah. So as I said, I think the Leafs were the better team for the majority of tonight. It's several times in a row now we've seen them come out and play as a competitive NHL team. They look like they're just a lot hungrier. They seem to have gotten their speed back too. There were several games, or even most of the beginning of the season, where I was watching them play, and I just thought they just look so slow. Like, I know they're an older team, but they just looked like they were always behind the pace of play every single game. But now I'm starting to see more consistency in them just keeping up and even being the faster team in some cases now. So that's nice to see. I think there's definitely some more life in these boys now that they've gotten a couple wins here. Um, Leafs had a lot of shots tonight. I was impressed with it. A lot of them got blocked, though. I must say, Detroit was sticking the body in front of everything, getting blocks in there. So credit to them for helping their goaltender out a lot. But I think the offense on the Leafs was pretty sound tonight. I think it could have been a little bit better if Nylander was playing tonight. They just seemed like they were one good play away, one good player away from just getting over that hump and having a sustainable lead here. So it's unfortunate that he was out and he was injured, but in his place, Cowan comes back in the lineup. And I liked how he played tonight. He did a lot better. I still think he was a little bit jumpy though. He seemed like he's been off for like 3 games now, so I think that he was just out of stride a little bit. He seemed like he had a little bit of trouble controlling some pucks here and there, especially when he was coming out of the penalty box there and couldn't settle that pass down. I know it's a hard pass, but he seemed like he was a little jumpy tonight. Especially him skating to areas of the ice that are just a little more trafficked. Usually he's really good at finding that open ice, and tonight he just seemed to head into traffic a little bit more than he usually would. But I think that'll be rectified in the next couple games if he gets back into the usual rotation of things. So that's okay. Yeah. So first period was looking pretty good. Honestly, I didn't have any problems with it. I think the Leafs controlled it for the most part. It was looking positive. Second period, Cowan drew a penalty there pretty early on, and then we get to see Steve Sullivan's masterpiece of a power play, which is really nice. Definitely a huge improvement over the last, I guess the whole first part of the season, really. Because at this point, they've scored 3 goals on the power play in 2 games, so it's definitely an improvement. And overall, it looks like a different power play to begin with, which is nice to see. They're breaking it in differently. There's a lot less passing back. They seem to be having easier zone entries in terms of somebody actually skating the puck into the zone with some speed and then passing it back or wrapping it around the boards to a player that's actually in the position they're supposed to be so they can actually contain the pass. So there's many different elements to it now that actually look like it's kind of, going along at the proper speed and everyone kind of knows where they're supposed to be, which is nice. Partly, I think it's still due to them having a new coach, but I think that it's also some different systems and they're allowing them to play with a little more creativity in their game. I think that most of the time with Berube being the head coach, it's a lot more structured, and I don't think these players like to play in that system, but when it comes to the power play, they're allowed to have a lot more creativity and flow to it. So I think they're just starting to figure it out now, finally, and put it together and score a couple goals. So it's really nice to see. I think that if they can really get that going together, it can make a huge difference in the next couple of games coming up here where they really have to get a lot of points because it's against a lot of the same teams in their division here. So the next little bit of gameplay here is going to be a pretty defining moment for this team in the next little while. Also in the second period there, on the goal that ties it up for Detroit. The Leafs get trapped in their own zone because of the long change there, and then Matthews takes the shot off the foot, which was a little concerning because he right after that he went to the dressing room. I was really hoping he wasn't hurt because we do not need any more injuries on this team. It didn't seem to end up being that serious, thankfully. So he came out for the third. But on that same play, though, Domi whiffs on a little backhand that needs to get out the zone, and it doesn't. And I guess with this team, like the devil is in the details with it, right? That's what's tough about it is like there's a play like that where Domi has a couple extra seconds than he probably thinks he does. And he just makes a really quick, kind of a dumb play, a soft backhander out to the blue line it isn't getting out in any league, whether you're 7 years old or you're 27 or whatever. So it's tough to see because like he's a skilled player, and I know he can make better plays than that. I think he just rushed it on that play. It's unfortunate, but it ends up costing them. At that point, it's 1-1. It's tied up. Third period, Riley has a horrible giveaway, which just made me lose my mind. Again, I'm not trying to pick on Riley too much here, but seeing Riley just absolutely whiff on a clearing again and have it picked up by Patrick Kane in the slot, which is almost a guaranteed goal. I don't know how Hildeby bailed him out with that one, but that was definitely close. So basically a miracle that Detroit didn't take the lead at that point, but thankfully they didn't. And then right after that play, Tavares forces a turnover and gets Nick Robertson a beautiful goal. So at that point, the Leafs take the lead. They get a big save from Hildeby. They take the lead. And this is where a point in the game where the Leafs just need to be a little more in attack mode. I think they did good with that mindset tonight and how they played. But, when you got a 2-1 lead, you got this team up against the ropes, you just have to be more offensive minded because right after that, at 23 seconds later, Detroit comes back down and ties it up. And it's such a dagger every single time with this Leafs team that they get any sort of a lead in a tight game. It just comes right back and it bites them in the ass. And it's just a killer. I want to see a little more power in the defense there. So when you score, that the other team is going to come right back and try to get an offensive rush going or something, make a play. You just have to be as hard as you can on defense right after that happens. And they don't seem to be. They seem to just give up goals right after they get one. And you just can't win games like that, which is proven tonight. That point is 2-2. And going into the overtime, I was pretty hopeful about it. I think the Leafs were just, incredibly close to winning this game. One point about Max Domi in this overtime, too, is the fact that we've seen Max Domi in many overtimes now, and I don't have a problem with him being out there. As I said, I think he's a pretty skilled player. But it's always so tough when Max Domi just throws the puck all over the ice. Like, it doesn't matter if it's a 1% chance play where one of his teammates might end up getting the puck. He'll just throw away possession all the time. And overtime being such a possession game, it kills you to see that. It's like, Domi, hang on to the puck for just a little bit longer, man. Wait till there's a play where you're going to have an actual decent chance of getting a good scoring chance, or at least hanging on to the puck and getting a half decent pass. Because he goes around the net there and just whiffs it out front, and Detroit gets possession of it, and it just, they get a couple good chances from that. And then, of course, to top it all off, if that's not bad enough at that point, Hildeby makes pretty good save, and then the puck bounces kind of in the slot, and it's tough because it's that horrible distance from you where it's not quite in front of you, but it's close enough where you could get it if you dive to it. And I understand he's trying to set Matthews up on a breakaway there, but if you're the goalie and you're gonna lunge for it and leave the net, you gotta make a damn sure play that you're gonna get that puck and get it out of the zone. You can't dive at it one-handed and go, oops, I missed, because then it costs you the game. Like, it's just, I don't care if the Leafs lose. I mean, I do, but if you're gonna lose it in a respectable way, please. That's just, God, that sucks. So I guess that's my rant of the night for there. But it's just a killer to see them lose a game in that fashion, when they're that close. So it's just, I don't know. That's my beef with it. I'm not going to put it all on Hildeby. Obviously, he kept them in this game many times tonight, and I guess the offense just couldn't get over and get them the goals that they needed. But it's a play that you just got, man, you got to be better on that. So if that was Wall in net, I don't think he makes that play. I think Hildeby's trying to be a little bit too much of a hero on that. But you know what? He made a decision, and that's what happened. So it is what it is. You can't change it now. So yeah, Leafs lose 3-2 in overtime, pick up a point, which is huge. They got a lot of games coming up against some pretty big teams in their division where they need to win. I hope that they can take the same energy they had in this game and apply it to the ones that are coming up. They got New Jersey on Tuesday. That's going to be a highly skilled game. It's always fun when you're facing your previous coach, Sheldon Keefe. So hopefully the Leafs can get up for that one. I think it's going to be a good game. So as long as that they don't get blown out, at least, I think they have a pretty good record against Sheldon Keefe, to be honest with you. I think they do. So it should be a pretty good game to watch. And of course, I will be there after for it as well. So appreciate everybody tuning in. Go Leafs, go as always, and have a great night. See you in the next one.